Welcome to the LANCave. We're living as nerds, hanging out, talking video games and stuff. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Hello!
Yeah, Owen's hanging out, talking video games like we do. This is a weekly thing. We're a podcast and live stream, all that jazz. And we're pretty much everywhere that you want us to be, including now we are on Spotify. Very happy about that.
Take that, yeah. Cody.
That's what happens. You ask for it, and we're probably going to find a way to do it because, yeah, feedback's awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate also being constantly, like, he probably told me like 5 times, like, hey, get on Spotify. And, you know, me and you have been having some life events going on, and eventually he was just straight up like, you know, it'd be cool. Spotify. And I was like, all right, fine. Patrick, can you do that?
Yeah, and I felt really bad because it did not take long to actually get it, like, synced. I just kept, like, putting it off. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it later. It took, like, probably 4 or 5 minutes. Like, it was so quick.
Yeah, well, you know, life happens.
So technology's awesome. So I've got to play a new game this weekend that I hadn't.
Wait, no Magic?
I know, it's crazy. No Magic the Gathering. I did play Magic the Gathering as well, but I played Ultimate Chicken Horse. And I don't know if you've seen this.
Nope.
But it's like Mario Maker, except you continue to make it harder for people to beat. So it's like
Mario Maker,
well, yeah, but it's like, all right, it's like if you complete the stage, then you add to the stage and you make it harder to complete, like every time. So then you try to play it, you try to beat the level over and over and over again, and it gets harder and harder.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like Mario Maker, if it was like you could immediately re-edit the stage and go, oh, we know it'd be really messed up if this was in the way.
It's a web browser game.
Play it right again. No, it's on the Switch.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How much is it at?
I don't remember.
Do you recall? Under $10?
I don't honestly remember. I was playing it at someone's house, so
I'd throw $9.99 at it. It looked interesting enough.
Yeah, it's fun. It's on. I'm looking here to see what else it's on because it's on Nintendo Switch.
It seems like a game that would start. The reason why I said web browser is not to make fun of it, but it just looks like. In terms like something wacky that somebody would come up with, like it reminded me of like an old Flash style looking game.
Yeah.
With the graphical.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely like bare bones and simple and everything. And I think that works to its to its credit. $14, $15.
Not terrible.
Yeah, that's not terrible. It's doable. It's one of those games that's. I immediately was like, okay, I need to buy this because there are certain games that I feel like as a gamer you want to have to play with people if they come over.
$14.99.
Yeah, so and especially like games that work really well for people who are not gamers. So it's like, hey, you can come over, we can play this, hang out. It's no pressure. There's not like worry about feeling like you're going to lose or you're not adequate at play. Like I almost said Jack in the Box. The Jackbox games are a great example of that. This is like that, but it's a little harder, obviously.
It has a 10 out of 10 rating on Steam.
Yeah.
It's also on PlayStation 4.
Totally recommend. Yeah. Totally recommend it. Have you finished Fire Emblem yet?
No, I think I am nearing the end. I'm close to 50 hours. At least, and when I say nearing the end, there's 3 different storylines that you could play. I'm probably only going to play one of them. I think I'm nearing the end of my storyline. I'm a little so I don't know if you remember, I picked the one that I thought everybody else wouldn't play. So there's 3 houses in there. There's the Golden Deer, the Blue Lions, I think it is, and then there's the something Eagles or something like that. And I picked the Golden Deer because I just felt nobody would pick it. And I think I'm right. I don't think a lot of people pick the Golden Deer. But apparently if you pick one of the other stories, there's a twist in there, and it's actually branching paths. And that's cool. I'm not going to tell you which one or anything like that because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But there's a branching path on one of the storylines, so there is a lot of replayability to it. It's an RPG, and my fall is now full of RPGs because Final Fantasy 8 comes out in 2 weeks. And then Dragon Quest 11 on the Switch.
That's amazing.
And I'm just, and there's also just so many other games. A few of them we're gonna get to here in the news. But so far, Game of the Year. So far,
I don't know.
You don't know what your GOTY is to date?
No, I don't. I feel like I've been like a little bit out of it. I'm gonna do some real quick looking at my notes. What's
you don't keep track of like your games that you played?
No, not. I know you do.
Ever since I started the podcast, which my podcast anniversary is coming up here in October, I just figured it would be just something cool to do, to put out at the end of the year, everything that I played. And so I keep track of everything that I played that I've never played either before or it's like a brand new copy of something. So I'm up to 30 games so far. And this is not beaten, by the way. This is just played. A lot of these got dropped like bad habits, but and about half of them I would say were made in 2019. So out of those like 15 or so games that are from 2019, so far it's Fire Emblem 3.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had to look through like and kind of jog my memory of like, okay, what have I played that came out this year? Not something that I pulled out from something else. I wanted Sekiro to be it.
Nope.
It was not it for many reasons. I don't know how the pulse is like in the Souls community about this game, but like it wasn't bad. I just feel like, anyways, it's really lacking. The other one that I could think of that I feel like deserves a spot for me is Resident Evil 2.
Nice.
Because I
could see that
recreated a game that I feel is like a masterpiece, and it made it work and playable and still challenging and scary modern days, which people are like, oh, that's not, it doesn't work. It's because of the tank controls and everything. It made it worse. It made it more suspenseful because you couldn't figure out how to walk. I'm like, no, the game is still that good. So I think that's probably my
I've heard that. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. I did not play it for reasons that we know. Owen doesn't play horror games, but everything that I've heard, it's like one of the best remakes, like gold standard remake, which is cool. And and you'll actually be able to compare it like in a completely different way coming up here next month with Link's Awakening. I assume you played the original Link's Awakening.
I have not. I have not, because this was a console I did not own. So I've not played it before. I could have played it. I mean, there's ways to emulate it and everything. I never got around to it though.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe you won't be able to. Did you play the original Resident Evil 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll be able to probably pull that on the other side to see like where it's at, because it is one of the best Game Boy games. It's available for pre-release now. I got to remember that.
And sometimes when you go back and play a game that you loved when you were younger, I mean, not even if you were like a kid, just like 5 years, 8 years, whatever, however old you are. For some of our listeners, that may be when they were kids, but like when you do that, it's having fresh eyes. Sometimes that rose colored glasses come off, and you have a moment of like, oh, really? I liked this? Like, this did it for me? Because we change, not just like technology wise, but like we change as regards to gamers and obviously technology as well.
Do you watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
So there's like a one in there where like him and Barney want to open a bar, right? And they open the bar and then they take it up to their apartment. Yeah. And Ted's trying to be real highbrow, and he's like, every time I read Moby Dick, I get something different out of it, and then I have to wonder, did Moby Dick change, or have I? And so I was totally
I didn't mean to have to be like pretentious about it.
No, it wasn't at all. It was just, that's the comedy.
Oh yeah. Well, let me take it back from that highbrow to the lowbrow version, because I made Whitney watch Commando this past week, which I've watched that movie so many times. Yeah, that movie's amazing.
A ridiculous amount of times.
And I watched it, and I will say I hadn't watched it in a while. That was one of my favorite Arnold movies. I had not watched Commando in probably 8 or 10 years.
Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
It's so good.
I have a terrible Arnold accent.
Oh no, but it's fine.
It's
fine. Remember when I said I would kill you last?
I lied.
Like, it's so good. And Whitney's like, I think we're 35, 40 minutes in. She's like, this is so bad.
It's so awesome.
But it is. It's so
it's
awesome.
Classic 80s.
It's classic 80s. Yeah. And I had to be like, yeah, but that's why. It's like they're trying to make the quintessential, like, you know, action movie. He's trying to beat Stallone here.
And some steam in it.
It's amazing. But I would say, like, watching that, having not seen it in so long, and watching it again, I got to see it from new eyes, through Whitney's eyes as well. It's still great, but it's a product of its time. But if anyone who is watching this is not watching or listening is not seen that movie and likes like ridiculous over the top action, you have to see the movie. And not only that, just like corny 80s movies. It's better than any Steven Seagal movie or anything else.
Best Steven Seagal movie.
Ooh.
Under Siege.
I mean, what is it? Was it Hard to Kill? Hard to Kill was good.
There's that one weird voodoo one.
Yeah. I feel like I need to like. So I actually did create a folder for movie reviews and stuff, because I'm trying to. I want to add that back into the channel, and I want to talk about movies that like I loved when I was younger, like Commando and. Really,
see, I could participate with some of that.
Yeah,
it's when you and this is nothing against your taste at all. I understand that we like different things, but there's some really off the wall movies that Patrick likes where I just can't do it. But Commando, I could totally have a conversation about Commando.
Yeah. I figured like we're gonna hit like the happy medium of like, okay, it may not be like it's not.
Can we do Die Hard?
We can totally do Die Hard.
We could do Die Hard.
That may be like a Christmas episode.
Yeah, Christmas movie, by the way.
It's totally a Christmas movie. But like, I knew that you would not be a part of this one, but one of the things I wanted to do is like a horror corner where I'm talking about like horror movies. Because I know that's not your thing.
Nope.
But like, I really want to do it because I have, and I feel really bad. I need to message him. I have a video that Tanner and I shot. Tanner, aren't you Tanner?
Mm-hmm.
So Tanner and I shot a video for Friday the 13th movies, and then we had a thing on there. We I think like last minute we're like, oh, we should also do like an Arnold, like talking about Arnold movies. So I have a video that he and I shot like I think 2 years ago at this point that I haven't edited together. So I may put that up there too.
That's cool. Yeah,
because why not?
Throw it in there. I mean, Halloween is coming up.
It is. So I could speed edit through some of those. We talked about like all the Friday the 13th movies and stuff. Anyways,
if people are interested in terms of talking about movies and everything, feel free to let us know. And we already include some of the nerdy stuff. Like we're gonna be talking about Spider-Man, of course. But if you want us to dive even deeper into our nerddom, and that's something that you would want to hear us talk, let us know.
Yeah, and we may have guests that can come in too. So, yeah.
Fancy.
Anyways, we'll get to that, but we had some really big news this week, and I feel like there's Gamescom happened and other things happened. Let's start with Marvel.
Okay.
Sony bought Insomniac. I know that's not quite. It's not.
I think that's not Marvel.
But we're getting there. This is going to heat up into it. But Insomniac's latest and greatest game, and probably one of the greatest games they've made, which is saying something, is the new the Spider-Man game. That's why I thought I'd segue into that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so Sony buying Insomniac. As soon as I read it, I think I texted you about. You texted me.
Yeah, I sent you a Facebook message like, holy, dropping some S-bombs.
Immediately, I'm like, didn't I predict this? But I'm not gonna pretend that I predicted it. Like I could see that happening. I think it was a discussion we had in one of our episodes, basically about like what we'd like to see happen and something amazing that would happen.
Yeah, I want to say about a month ago, we ran across an article that basically said Sony was looking for some more devs.
Yeah, I said Insomniac. You said no way it's going to happen. I wasn't. It wasn't trying to predict the future. I just thought it was funny as soon as I saw this. It was like,
the only reason that I thought it was never going to happen is because it hadn't happened yet. I mean, we had an entire 2 generations of like exclusive titles on PS2 and PS3, and then even in PS4 with Spider-Man and the new Ratchet, that Insomniac made for Sony, where Sony owns the IP. They own the IP for Ratchet. I'm pretty sure they own the IP for Resistance. They own the IP for Spider-Man.
Yep.
They don't own Sunset Overdrive. There was another smaller one. Crap. It's a Metroidvania in the ocean that I can't. Song of the Deep. Song of the Deep. And then the one that I'm really curious that Insomniac really hasn't talked about is because they actually have been doing a lot of VR stuff on Vive. So I'm really curious to see, does that mean that PSVR is going to be getting those games? Or are they still going to be allowed to work with Vive? But I just didn't think it was going to happen because it hadn't happened. Like, it'd been so long and it still hadn't happened. But this is like the best suck it purchase ever in terms of like, I'm a PlayStation homer along with my Switch, but everybody knows it. And it's like, yeah, you can go ahead and you can buy Double Fine, you can buy Obsidian. Those are cool studios and everything. But how about a little studio called Insomniac, Microsoft? How's that feel?
Yeah, I think that when I was thinking of developers being bought out like that, Insomniac was, I'd say, one of the biggest names. I mean, other than your Bethesdas and your Blizzards, Insomniac is huge.
In terms of third parties.
In terms of third parties. That's what I mean. Like, and they're not just known for a specific IP like Borderlands. I mean, that they have clout other than like just one game that they keep releasing. That being said, I love Borderlands. I just feel like
September 13th.
September. I can't wait. I'm excited about that. I feel like Borderlands 1 was good. I think Borderlands 2 is pretty good, but it lost some of the character. And then
You're getting a PlayStation, right?
Yeah, I'm getting a PlayStation.
All right, we need to play then for some co-op action. Literally the first thing that I thought, other than holy crap, this is awesome. I hope a couple of things come from this. I hope Sony says, hey, Sunset Overdrive, because Insomniac actually owned the Sunset Overdrive IP. That was why it wasn't on PlayStation. They wanted to own one of their own franchises. And so it never even launched on PlayStation to begin with. It was only on Xbox, which was part of its kind of like unfortunate, at least from an outside perspective, it seemed like a financial failure. But the game is actually really cool. So I'm hoping that means Sony ports that sucker over to PS4. I'm also hoping that after years of waiting, they had a Resistance collection on PS3. I hope they get Bluepoint or somebody to port that over to PS4. That means Ratchet. We already knew that they were definitely going to make like another Spider-Man. Like, this is just dope. And then to finish it all off, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying Sony's not done. So we don't know who, but that there's probably at least one other big developer, and I think right now the rumor is Remedy.
Pretty big.
Trying to think of what Remedy does for you. Before I just
what Remedy the
what game? Like, I'm trying to think of like their big game. Like Quantum Break. They did Quantum Break on and then they actually have an upcoming game called Control that's supposed to be really trippy and awesome. People are kind of relating it to like X-Files. I've been hearing a lot about it on other podcasts that comes out soon. But I've heard that they might buy Remedy. I don't know if that happens, but
no, that'd be really cool. And I realized right after we started talking about this, what I should have done as a segue or as an introduction should have been a good idea, bad idea for Sony, because that was awesome.
Yeah.
But Sony, in film news, that's in the video game news, Sony in film news is no longer, or I should say, let me phrase this the most accurate way.
Yeah.
Sony has chosen not to renegotiate with Marvel in regards to Spider-Man. What that means is because the Spider-Man contract is over, the movie rights revert to Sony, and Sony's going to make movies with Spider-Man now. That does not mean they are connected to this universe at all. In fact, I don't think they can be legally connected to it. Like, they can't continue the story of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. They could.
Pretty sure they can.
They could pull Tom Holland.
Yeah.
But they could not continue the story. I mentioned this like forever ago, and I mean, probably since we've been doing the podcast. I know I mentioned it back when Kevin and I did the podcast together. I feel weird saying that because like I know Kevin's just not able to do it right now. But like I've been talking about it for a long time. Sony's plan was always lease it to Disney, let Disney make a ton of money, let them hype Spider-Man, and then bring it back and continue their Spider-Verse, which is what they were trying to do with Venom. What are they doing? They're a Craven movie. They're doing a Morbius movie. This has been Sony's plan all along. It was not that Marvel wanted too much money. It was none of that. Sony just was like, no, I'm going to go back to my playground, my house now.
I mean, there's something to the money aspect of it too. I mean, it might have been Sony's plan the whole time, but on paper, the split that they had was 95% Sony, 5% Disney.
Yeah,
and not greedy. Yeah, not that like Disney is hurting for money, especially in regards to the MCU.
Yeah.
But I mean, for those of you who don't know, like they have like this, I think the second highest grossing movie ever made. Actually, no, they own Avatar too, don't they?
Disney technically owns Avatar. So
they have the top two. They have the top two highest grossing movies of all time. So they're not hurting, but it's still like a thing of like business of like, hey, we made this Kevin Feige and is that how you say his name, Feige?
I've heard it. I've heard
Feige.
I believe it's Feige.
Okay, so and I feel bad. I just don't ever hear his name said out loud. But they said like a 95-5, and reportedly Disney wanted 50-50, and Sony gave the middle finger and walked away completely. They didn't even bother trying. They didn't do the whole haggle. Like, okay, we want to keep our regular deal. Yep. Disney says 50-50. You come back with 60-40 or whatever. They just walked away, which has spurred a lot of online, hashtag boycott Sony, which. Whatever. I mean, everybody talk like I even saw a couple of my friends where they're like, I'm not gonna go see another Spider-Man movie. I was like, yes, you will. like there's two characters that are bulletproof. Mm-hmm. Who's the other one that's not Spider-Man in terms of just comic book characters?
In my opinion, Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not opinion, it's fact. There are two bulletproof characters.
You can mess up Superman. You can mess up Superman really bad. But like, Whitney and I just rewatched Batman and Robin. Yeah, the movie's corny as heck, but you know what? It's
awful.
Good. It's good though, in an awful way, in a like we're gonna be corny way, in a Commando way. Yeah, I went there.
No.
I went there.
I mean, only because like George Clooney was just an awful choice. Like like I don't know why they didn't keep Val Kilmer.
Oh yeah, Kilmer.
I think he's highly underrated in terms of like he made a good Bruce and he made a decent Batman. I don't like. I'm in the minority when I really don't like Michael Keaton's Batman that much. I think he's fine. But like it's a different kind of Batman. That comic style is fine. It's still 89 Batman's still classic. Batman Returns still classic.
Speaking of, you're probably freaking out about the crossovers that are about to happen.
Dude, I thought about including that just because there's more rumors that they're getting, and I'm sure Whitney will be upset that I don't remember her name, but the original Wonder Woman,
Linda Carter.
Yeah, she's in talks. Burt Ward's in talks. People are just like sitting here like, where's Tom Welling? Like, where's that version of Superman? The guy who plays Ray Palmer currently, who is Superman in Superman Returns. Brandon Routh. Yeah. He's gonna put on the Superman tights as part of the crossover.
That's cool.
Which is cool. Like, so they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earth. Obviously, their own spin. In the CW, this is the end of Stephen Amell's run. And I'm wondering how much longer Flash has to go as well, but it's dope. There's no I don't like unless they just epically screw it up and it just totally sucks. Like there's no chance that you can walk away and be like, this is gonna be bad. That's coming. I think in December. Like there's there's 5 episodes total. I think 3 of them are in December and 2 of them are in January, which I think is a terrible idea.
Are they going to be on separate shows? Because that's I didn't know.
They fill the time slot. So they currently have Arrow, Flash, Legends. I'm forgetting something. I think they have 4 shows, and they will fill each of those respective time slots.
Okay. I just didn't know if they were technically considered like another part of the time slots. When season wise, if they're releasing stuff, does it go as its own standalone?
They just kind of work it into the middle of the season. Like the way they normally do it, and their crossovers are actually pretty sweet. Even if you don't want to watch the rest of them, but there'll be an episode, the standard episode of the season, and then at the end of the episode, the close, something will happen that leads it into the crossover. Gotcha. And then it's just kind of standalone, but it's still happened. Mm-hmm. That Flashpoint, the thing where they did with Flashpoint, that reverberated across the Arrowverse, as we call it. But yeah, superhero stuff. I don't know. Sony, whatever. I mean, cool. I kind of still expect them to come back in a way, because I don't know. You're just Tom Holland. I think will want to get out of his contract. I believe he's still under contract. He reportedly unfollowed Sony today, which is nice drama. But whatever. Let them figure it out. But don't act like you're not going to go watch another Spider-Man movie, especially if you have kids. Yeah. Everybody loves Spider-Man. You're going to go watch it.
Spider-Man is. I mean, I love Wolverine. I love Batman. But Spider-Man was me growing up. I was the nerdy kid who, and I could go on a soapbox about that. But that wasn't just me. That was so many other. Kids growing up felt that way.
That was why it became so big, is because he's one of those, the mass literally Spider-Man could be anyone. Is in terms of that New York kid, but just he was that teenager, young adult guy, and Spider-Man could be anyone.
Yeah, exactly. So continuing with Marvel's Marvel games, Marvel Avengers dropped some gameplay this week, and I still am going to play it. It's still
absolutely.
It looks like it's going to be good and fun, but it's not going to be. I think that if you're looking for a Marvel game with better gameplay, then you go Ultimate Alliance. That's my opinion about it. I mean, and it sucks to be in that situation, because I feel like this, as you can see, this flying is just continuing over, and this is.
And it's on rails.
It's on rails. So it's not even what I was hoping. Which I mean, we don't know. There could be other sections where Iron Man, where you get to fly around more like an Apex. What's wrong with me? Not Apex.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the sentence.
The other Iron Man game that I freaking bought that I hate so much I've got a blank on now. The game on PlayStation, I guess it was more on. It was fuck it. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
I missed how you went this direction.
I'm drawing a blank on. I feel like I was hoping that the gameplay would be more open when you get the Iron Man suit. You could fly around. And this feels like it's either on rails or you're just kind of standing there and hovering, which we've done we've done in other games.
My wife dropped it in the chat. Anthem.
Yes, good on you, remembering it for me. That's how much that game irritated me. I blocked it out of my memory. Anthem could have been great, and it was such a letdown that I apparently have a mental block.
I had no idea what you're talking about. So I was
she was following me. But. Am I going to play the game? Yeah, I'm going to play the game. But there's a lot of people who are not digging this.
There's barely a Square Enix game that exists that Owen will not play.
Sure.
But just in case you're not watching the feed that Patrick's showing, I posted it on the LandCave Facebook page at facebook.com/LandCave. It's 18 minutes of gameplay, so it's a nice meaty thing. It's at the beginning of the game. It's what they showed behind closed doors at E3, and now we're finally get to see it as of Gamescom. It just looks rough. It just doesn't look like a game that's coming out early next year, which it is, and they're just not making it look that fun to play. And what stinks is they have a phenomenal voice cast, which means they probably have a really good script. And as Patrick said, we're gonna play it. It would have to bomb. It's like I'm not pre-ordering this game. It reminds me kind of Anthem, where I said that I was going to buy Anthem, and my wife even called me out on it, where she was like, "You never bought that game, did you?" And I was like, "It looked terrible. I wanted it to not suck, and it sucked."
What I played of the beta, I was like, you know what, it's pretty good. I mean, but I didn't realize how repetitive everything was going to get, and that's pretty much all that I was going to get. Was what I played in the beta. It was just way too repetitive and didn't have any substance. Which, like you said, if this has a good enough script, I mean, the voice actors, it's got a great cast for that. But if the script is good, then I'm excited. I did see that the developers were talking about how they're going to be supporting this for years.
I hate when they say that stuff, dude.
Everyone says that nowadays, but
it's like Anthem's problem. Like, this is a 10-year game.
Yeah. So was Destiny was supposed
to.
So
was Destiny 1.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll say though that's probably more Activision's fault than Bungie's.
No, I agree. But at the same time, am I going to buy it? Yeah, I'm going to buy it, and it's probably going to be entertaining. It may not be the definitive of what I wanted it to be, but I don't know. Maybe it's definitely could be a step in the right direction if the gameplay that I'm looking at is of any indication. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. After Spider-Man, I don't want to step in the right direction. I want awesome. Like, that's what I like. Especially from a developer that I will constantly defend until I die, probably, Square Enix. Like, Square Enix should not be putting out a bad product with an IP like this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I mean, especially the fact that we already had the Arkham games. And the Arkham games are just magnificent. Like, that's, I guess, maybe it's
minus the third one.
I thought it was good.
That's debatable.
It wasn't near. Sorry, I was thinking.
Sorry, there is a fourth one, but I don't count that. It wasn't made by Rocksteady.
Exactly. I didn't count that either. That's why I was I was trying to remember, but not quite. But speaking of developers saying things that they shouldn't. Apex Legend developer kind of
did you go back and read it?
I went through a little bit. I kind of skimmed through it, and I feel like
I can break down this thing.
Break it down, I'll add to it.
So Apex Legends, free to play BR made by Respawn, who's making the new Star Wars game Apex. They kind of shadow dropped this game. And it's really fun. It's free to play. And they did an event this week and next week. I think it's called like Iron Crown or something like that. And it's really dumbly expensive. It was things, I want to say like it was like $7 or $8 a pack and for random skins. And that's all you can buy in this game in terms of it's a free-to-play game, kind of like Fortnite, where you just buy skins, except they're random. You can't just like buy the skin that you want, which is one reason why people were so mad. And so to get the skin that you wanted, somebody calculated it out, like at a minimum, you would have to spend like $150, just if you had the worst luck. And like it was the last pack that you opened. So everybody got mad. They issued an apology on Reddit. Then everybody kind of was like still not liking that apology because it was still expensive. They made it to where you could buy the skins, but the skins were like, they didn't do anything goodwill with it. They didn't really like make it cheap. It should have been like $5. The skins were still expensive. People started going off, and the lead developer, I'm not going to say his name, so it doesn't matter, but the lead developer was in there answering people's things, started out like fine. And then just as the conversation goes on and as he responds to more and more comments, he starts getting more and more salty because they weren't being nice. Like, and eventually, we don't normally cuss on this show, but he called them asshats as one, and freeloaders, which I didn't really think is a derogatory term because it's true, but people didn't like that either. And
how's it derogatory? I mean, that's just basically saying that, like, freeloaders, because you got a free game and you just want for stuff for free is what they're saying. It doesn't mean in a derogatory way. It was just like saying, well, you're either being lazy or stingy or whatever. Like, well,
he even said it like in parentheses where he's like, which we love, and then like it's hard to convey tone in text, but I took it as a completely like, that's true. They do love people playing their games. Every any kind of artist that makes a video game wants people to play their game. Like, that's absolutely true. So like, I thought whenever he said freeloaders, he wasn't meaning it in a completely mean way. He was like, the majority of people that play this game do not spend a dime on this game. This is the only way we make money. Could we do it better? Maybe. And people say that, but like, there's a reason why everybody mainly does loot boxes. It's because the economists and they hire professionals to figure this out, that you'll make more money off loot boxes than you do individual things. But it was one of those things where I felt for the guy. Obviously, if you're on the clock and you're in print on Reddit, you can't go call your fans A-hats. Like, I laughed when I read it, but you can't do that. But at the same time, I was like, he's totally right. Like,
yeah, no, it's true. And at the same time, like, I'm not going to defend doing that at all. I feel like I prefer, I think you and I are both the same way, prefer just give me the option to buy it.
Yeah,
because I'll buy it if that's what you want.
Sure.
You and I have some disagreements in regards to loot boxes.
Sure.
But I personally I feel like that's a ridiculous odds to do something like that. So I'm just glad that, I mean, he shouldn't have done that, but I'm just glad more fans are like being boisterous about it, because if no one says anything, then they're just going to continue to try to take your money. Because yes, if you make loot boxes, people will throw tons of money at them. But is that creating quality gaming?
No, and that's the problem. The problem where I think he's right is that you absolutely should go voice your opinion. You should let them know, hey, Apex Legends, this isn't cool. I really want this one specific skin because this is my main. For those of you who don't know Apex, it's kind of like Overwatch. There's different characters in there that have different skills and abilities. Most people have one that they prefer. And I saw several people that are like, I only want this one skin. That's all I want. Just let me buy that skin. That perfectly makes sense. Just don't be mean about it. Like, there's no reason to ever go online and just be a jerk.
Yeah.
Especially to the dev. There's a lot of people who hate EA, which is the parent company of Respawn at this point. I think that people are a little harsh on EA, to be honest with you. I think EA is a bunch of money grabbing people, but at the same time, they have a bunch of studios that make good games, and I think the studios take the brunt of the bad feedback. Respawn probably gets more negative feedback than EA does directly. The same thing with many other BioWare, the company that made Anthem, and so on and so forth. Don't be mean. Like, voice your opinion, state facts, say I don't like this, like I hate this even, like, but like once you start being a jerk, then like, don't be surprised when somebody bees a jerk back. And I think the best thing I saw of it, where I meant to put this picture in here so that you could show it, but like, it was just a tweet that somebody put out there where it's like, we want developers to be more honest with us and just talk to us like normal human beings. And it's like, gamers are asshats and freeloaders, and then it's like Pikachu, like the
Pikachu.
No, the stunned Pikachu, the one where open mouth, like I thought that summed it up perfectly. I was like, you can't want them to talk that way, but again, you're on the clock, you can't say it. And I'm pretty sure I've read that is going to probably be some disciplining. Hopefully the guy doesn't lose his job because he's the lead dev on the game, but at the same time, it wouldn't shock me if he did.
Yeah, I agree. Switching gears here, we got some news out of GameStop. Massive layoff they said they reboot initiative to transform our business to the future and improve our financial performance. Which, I mean, I put the some text about this here and everything, but I feel like to move their brand forward, if it's going to survive, if GameStop, and in my opinion, the worst part of this is Game Informer laying off, I think, half of the employees that are involved in Game Informer. That's the saddest thing to me, because yeah, you don't have to be like the thing when it comes to game journalism or whatever, but I enjoy, I mean, I know it's old school, but like, I enjoy the print media. I enjoy the exposés. I enjoy that. If it's online, if it's, wherever it is. And I feel like that's the biggest loss that they took. I understand the business side of this, but this is going to get bloody. I mean, we're talking about dozens of regional managers, so it could get interesting.
Yeah, so as of the close of today, GameStop Corporation is at $3.54 per share. I don't know how they haven't been delisted off of the New York Stock Exchange yet, but that's a sign of what's going on. I don't know anybody personally that works for GameStop. For those of you who don't know, GameStop Corporate is in Texas. We're actually right down the road, probably like 20 minutes from my house. So if I know anybody, if you know anybody, that sucks. Anytime that's going on, we've talked about it several times. They had a failed, they tried to sell the company. Nobody bought it. They have way too many stores open. They have way too many like random products. They have too many used products. Like it's a whole thing where they didn't evolve. I don't know how they could have. It's a thing where like, what do you do? But whatever it is, they didn't figure it out. And then on top of that, Game Informer is actually a pretty good magazine. It's well respected. It has
got multiple issues sitting right next to me. Like
I read it digitally the last couple of years because it came with the power card.
Exactly.
That was like $15, and I just didn't want print media's it's dead, but the articles themselves are still good, so it looked good on the iPad. And that stinks. Because gaming journalism is hard to find these days.
It's hard to find good gaming journalism.
Yeah, like you have people like I think more of the good gaming journalists. We're not journalists, by the way, but we're talk show hosts. But I think more of the good gaming journalism is going through podcasts recently than it is through the writing. And Game Informer it's one of the good ones. So. I don't know. Hopefully GameStop figures it out, but I honestly don't think they're going to.
I don't think they're going to, and the biggest thing that's holding them afloat, or I should say their parent company afloat, I guess, would be ThinkGeek. Is one of the mall, our local mall has a ThinkGeek, and like we drop in there. We may or may not drop into GameStop, because I mean, what am I going to really go in there and find that I don't either have or have access to, or I'm more likely to jump into ThinkGeek and just see if they have something cool and new and interesting. I do want to go by GameStop right now to get a new Switch, because you can trade in your old Switch for $225, and the new Switch is still $299. So, but like that's the thing. Like they're willing to give me $225 of credit. I don't know how much they're selling it for. I'm gonna assume it's around $250 used. But like that's part of the thing is like. People, that's the long running joke that they, you could take a whole box of games and they're like $1, but like that was the business model. Is like not giving you, but in some cases they give you, I think, too much. In this case, well, they're hoping that you'll go in there and you'll buy some Switch games,
which I will not.
And they will, as per always, ask if you want to pre-order. They'll start naming off pre-orders that you more than likely would, especially if they know you. They're like, yeah, you got to pre-order like Star Wars,
One of our podcast listeners, Robert, like he talks to me all the time about how like he's pretty sure he single-handedly keeps his local GameStop afloat. Like they'll go like bend over backwards for him. They'll call him when there's new pre-orders up and stuff for him, because that's the thing. It used to be like that back in high school. It's just evolved, and I stopped buying used games as much because I wanted to give money to the dev, which you can still do if you buy brand new games. But now I'm on a digital kick.
Which I'm getting there. I'm getting there, but I'm still not there completely. I still want to be able to own it one way or another.
Yeah.
I think
There's still some
that's the
things that I'm
hard
going to
part.
buy. Like obviously, every like new mainline Zelda, I'm actually considering getting Link's Awakening digital just because it's a remaster. But like every like Breath of the Wild 2, it's going to be physical. Like Final Fantasy 7 remake, that's going to be physical. Like there's still going to be those ones, but as I'm moving forward and have now a kid to take up even more space in the house, it's just kind of like I don't need to keep stacking games on the shelf.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's the bonus to it. My only
Speaking
problem
of
is now being able to switch out things. But go ahead.
yeah, speaking of games on games, let's talk a little games to close this thing out.
Yeah. And I know we've been doing this for a minute tonight, but let's just run down some stuff from Gamescom, starting out with the Nindies showcase.
Best thing of the week.
I'd say it was the best thing of the week. Definitely the most consistent thing of the week. Risk of Rain 2, which looked really interesting. You put on here. I mean, you put.
That's why I put it on there. It looked interesting. It's a game that I think is already out on PC. So, and I think several of the things that I'm mentioning are that already exist. But actually, like Risk of Rain 2 and the next one, Torchlight 2, I've never played them. I'd never even really seen them. But the one thing that I just want to keep complimenting Nintendo on, the way that they are highlighting indies right now. Like I know that Steam is always going to be the place for indie developers, but I think the Switch is where indie developers go to shine because
I agree.
Awesome. It was such a good presentation. There was like 15 or 20 games that they showed, and I picked I think half of them.
Yeah, and I picked one in a similar vein of a game that is also elsewhere that I either didn't play or forgot to play, Close to the Sun, which, and again, is not your cup of tea, but it looked intriguing. It looked, I mean, it's adding a little bit of horror, puzzles, very like Resident Evil, but in a different way.
Is that what's on the screen right now?
Yeah, it's what's on the screen right now. It reminded me of kind of like combined Resident Evil with, Myst, or, I mean, I don't know how much puzzles are in here. It just seemed like there were a good amount. And add some BioShock in there. I was like, this looks really interesting. Like I said,
especially again for an indie, and it looks really good for an indie.
Yeah, it looks good. Definitely something I'll pick up now that I know it's a thing, which I didn't know. So maybe this was on PC and I missed it. There's so many indies. I can't get them all. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one I want to shout out for Kevin, just because I feel like I felt Kevin vibes when I was watching this. I don't know if you felt the way with Feel the Skellboy, or not Feel the Skellboy, Skellboy. I said Feel like in my scripting. This the art style kind of made me think of Isaac. Which Kevin's a big fan of. I don't know if it's as roguelike as Isaac, but I think that it is. So Kevin, if you this seems like your cup of tea, that's why I threw it in there. It looks cool, but just totally looked like something that he would vibe on.
I think he would. I thought it looked cool. It may be something I check out, but the music resonated with me because it reminded me of the like the 90s, like early 90s TV commercials for. Maybe it's just me, but like creepy crawlers. I don't know if you remember like the commercial.
Yeah, man, that was a long time ago.
Reminded me of like old to me, old school, I guess. Like marketing. That's what the music reminded me of. So.
And then the type of game that I think the Switch has really been needing, and honestly every console has really been needing, is a new skater game.
Oh, of course.
This game already exists. Apparently, it's on PC. But Skater XL, it looks fun. It looks like we've been wanting Skate 4 for forever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ever going to give it to us. I'm not saying that this is Skate 4, but it looks good enough to entertain my skateboarding thing. For some reason, in terms of like sports-like games, I've always loved skater games. Tony Hawk 2, Tony Hawk Underground 2. Tony Hawk 3 was not good. Underground one was okay, but the way that they said it's like completely physics based, so like that tells me it's a lot of stick control, which makes me think of Skate. It looks fun, definitely getting that. Then the other game that I'm super hyped about is it's kind of like a pinball adventure game, and that is Creature in the Well. This game looks fantastic.
And again, inventive. I mean, let's take what would be a slashy kind of isometric game and add pinball to it, that looks so cool. I mean, even whether or not you are a fan of pinball, as I feel like an old man, like back in my day, we played pinball. Like, it wasn't that big. It wasn't that big of a deal for us in our generation, but like that's a kind of a lost art, if you will, in regards to design, in regards to games. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, so I went ahead and pre-ordered it already because it comes out next month.
Yeah.
I think it was $10.
That's not bad.
I'm in. It just looks fun. I'll report back on it next month. Yeah. There's so much stuff coming out.
Yeah,
September is so busy for me.
Ori and the Blind Forest to get the
definitive
edition. Yeah. Yes, please.
Have you played this on Xbox?
I have.
Is it as hard as everybody says it is?
I don't think it was that hard.
Okay.
I thought it was challenging, which is like...
There's a difference.
There's a difference. Like, as opposed to, like, let's just make something hard, like Super Meat Boy or... The Surge. They're those games that are just ridiculously hard to be ridiculous. I felt like it was challenging, but it was good, and I loved the art. So I'm like, yeah, I'll grab this and play through it again.
This is a continuation for those who, like, one of those things where you see Xbox Game Studios flash up on a Nintendo Switch screen. That continued partnership with Microsoft. We don't need to play the clips on it, but just for those of you who played the board game Munchkin, there's a Munchkin game coming out called Munchkin Quack Quest that I had never heard of until today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be unless like it gets really poor reviews, I'll probably pick it up just because that's my favorite tabletop game probably of all time.
Really?
Have you ever played it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, great. I just love the fact that it's like a pick up and go. Like, it's not like a Catan where it lasts forever. It's a game that if everybody knows how to play, you can play in like an hour.
It's funny. We put out when we were on vacation. We played Settlers of Catan. Did I tell you about this already? I played Settlers of Catan. I was trying to get a board game thing going, but everyone was really busy, even though there were a ton of us. I finally got a board game. Was playing Settlers of Catan with my my nephew, who is 15, and then I hope I got that age right. And playing with Whitney's dad. So 3 generations pretty much of people age-wise. And I forgot about the rule that you can't build additional settlements if you ran out of pieces. But either way, Whitney's dad would have beaten us, like, hands down. He had never played it. He's like, I don't know, it seems... He loves Risk. So as soon as he got like the idea of like the strategy involved, he's like, why would I do this? What's more beneficial about that? He cleaned house. It was great.
Was it Ben on Parks and Rec that was like a ranked Catan player?
Yes, because he wanted to do Settlers. He wanted to do board games
on his bachelor night. Yeah, because he's a ranked Settlers.
I mean, I'm nationally ranked, so this really isn't fair. Yeah, I still like. I would totally play Cones of Dunshire. I totally would do that.
I played at least once.
You play once, yeah.
That's the thing about it's just tough with those when there's always at least one person that doesn't know the rules.
Oh, sure.
And that's where it gets really hard because some of these games are super complicated.
It'll take longer if you don't know the rules. Like if you're playing D&D, like if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons. I guess anyone who's played Dungeons & Dragons have been the new person.
Yeah.
But if you've played a handful of times and then you bring in someone who's completely new, it will slow the game down.
Slower than we already do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Shout outs to all of our friends who are awesome, but we like to talk.
Yeah. We did get some stuff out of Xbox.
Yeah.
Which you were messaging me. I was busy working and didn't have it on, didn't have my reminder, wasn't listening to it, so I started playing it when you messaged me, and it inside Xbox just felt so artificial.
I'm so bored.
I was bored. I felt like it was exactly what Devolver makes fun of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, how can you? I mean, I know it was live in England, but it's not a cultural thing. Like
Germany.
Was it Germany? Oh, sorry. The whole cast was like British. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah. but I was thinking, okay, is it like a barrier, like a cultural barrier thing? I'm like, no. Like, I work with people in England. I watch a lot of BBC stuff. Like, no, it had nothing to do with that. It felt just crazy manufactured.
It made me think of the EA plays during E3.
Yeah. That being said, I picked what I am excited about. What I mentioned, I put on here. Human Fall Flat looks interesting. At the same time, I don't know if I'm even going to buy it. I was just like, oh, that looks kind of interesting, just the different puzzle aspects of it. Greedfall, I think I'm going to buy this.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw this part of the presentation, but to me it felt like a Fable game. And they were talking about not only the combat part here, but they were saying that first and foremost, you are I don't remember, some type of like noble or politician or whatever it is.
Okay.
So you're going around to different houses and different people to figure out, like, and by house I mean like the Fire Emblem style in Game of Thrones houses. Like, you're helping different factions, and it's almost like it took Fable, maybe a little bit of Dragon Age. I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about it.
Because it's third person, right?
It's third person.
I'm watching it on the screen.
Yeah, you're watching
third person. Yeah,
it's third person, so it reminded, especially the pausing, reminded me of Dragon Age. Being able to kind of
totally
pause.
Dragon Age.
Yeah, so I immediately was like, yeah, I would totally play that.
I can see that.
Something I didn't expect. And the other one, which I know you won't be playing, is the Blair Witch game.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm excited about this just because I liked the lore in the first one, and they've they hit it out of the park, in my opinion, with the first one in its uniqueness.
Yeah.
But they could dive into the lore and the mythos more, and I feel like that's what this is going to do. So I'm excited about that.
I mean, everybody, even like me, who I will not play this game.
Sure.
But in terms of like a good gameplay trailer and everything, they did a great job with it. It got way more interesting. They announced this game at E3 and expanded on it really well. So I think it'll be plenty successful. Really, the only thing that I pulled out of the Xbox thing that is Gears 5. That's where everybody knows, like, that's the Xbox game I play. I'm gonna play Halo, of course, but the Xbox franchise that I own Xboxes for is the Gears franchise. So I will be playing Gears 5. But there was a weird instance in there. Did you ever go back and look at this when I told you about the cards?
No, you mentioned it, but I didn't.
So, like in like the Horde mode or something, so it's one of their online modes. There's like this system for like buffs, and it's done with cards. And they didn't mention having to purchase them, but I got a real loot boxy type vibe with it, where like just I don't even have a good example of the card, but let's just make up of like you get +5 to your ammo clip size or something like that. It seemed like buffs like that, and they said it was done through cards and how you can like do cards. They didn't say if the cards expired that I caught. I didn't. I was kind of like half listening to it, but I think I saw a currency in like the top of the screen. It just made me don't do it. Don't make
it. Sounds like Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah,
sounds like Star Wars Battlefront, because that's what Star Wars Battlefront in the loot boxes.
That's what
cards.
Killed that game.
Yeah, it totally did. It's
made that game awful, which is a fun game.
Yeah, it's a fun game, and I felt like, how can you screw it up? And they screwed it up the only way they could. It's an easy home run.
So luckily they didn't hit on it very long, so I don't think they got a whole big chance to get bad PR on it, but that's totally the vibe I got from it. Yeah. Obviously, I don't care. I'm going to play the campaign, so it doesn't affect me at all. It's just that that's what they chose to show, and I think they've done a bad job marketing this game. The E3 marketing for Gears 5 was not good either. Like, maybe are you just trying to hide the campaign? Is the campaign going to suck? Kind of like Gears 4 campaign sucked, and you're just focusing more on making the multiplayer good and going like Call of Duty route. Please don't do that. But yeah, we can. I don't know if you really want to talk about Stadia stuff. The only thing that I have to say about Stadia is just wait till it comes out. Like, you don't have to hate it. Like, if you want to be skeptical, be skeptical. Yeah. That's fine. It's Google. There's no reason to trust Google. But don't say it's good. Like,
Yeah.
People have been way too salty about it. It ruined it for me.
I agree. I'm not. I feel like if you want to complain about something like that, complain about the Epic Store. Like if you really want to do that. But even then, like that's getting salty as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a sucky time to be involved in something that you may like or you may be indifferent to. It's like I don't need that drama. Like I don't need that negativity. Yeah. Stadia. Okay, if you don't like it, okay, that's fine. Like I do not foresee Stadia having ridiculous exclusives that people will be mad about. Like they could have an exclusive, but it's not going to be an IP that you're going to be like, oh, that's my favorite. I can't believe.
Yeah, it's not going to be like it's not going to be like Tomb Raider early launching on Xbox.
No, it's not going to be anything like that. So like, yeah, just deal with it. Let people if you don't think that it's good, let it die, and then you can be like, yeah, okay, now I can continue with my life.
Yeah. I didn't write down any of the games just because I don't think it's important, but they did do like a little Nintendo Direct style thing showing off many of the games that are going to be available on Stadia. The problem is that they still didn't talk about what is included, like if you do the monthly subscription thing, other than getting 4K. So far, all we know is that if you sub, that gets you access to 4K streaming, and you get Destiny 2. But the problem with that is that Destiny 2 went free to play as of next month.
Yeah, so it should be a given.
Yeah.
The only one that I wrote down here is Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
Because I felt like they purposely put that in there.
Yeah.
To show how low the latency is on this and how good,
or at least how low it's expected to be.
It's expected. Okay, yeah, expected to be. I mean, if you have, because if they went in there for this crowd, for the fighter game crowd, if they go in there and they say, hey, you know, Stadia is so good, and if it comes out and it's complete trash and it's due to the latency and that being a problem, that's going to be a PR nightmare for them.
It's going to kill it.
Yeah, it would kill their property. So I feel like that was a really telling move. They're really, without straight up saying it, they're trying to let people know, like, no, you're going to get a good gaming experience. You tried it in beta, I didn't, but everything that I've heard is that if you have a decent connection, it's pretty good. And if you don't have a decent connection, you can throttle down the or I don't know if it does it automatically, but
it does it automatically.
So bring down the graphics a little bit, and yeah, just deal with it.
And like for all I know, I bet they're going to do some trials, but like the 1080p service and everything is free. So like if you just wanted to, like that's where they really need to get in. Like, can I rent a game? Like, can I just not pay for a game? Like, because I think that's where Stadia needs to be. Yeah. Like Stadia should not be trying to sell you $60 games. They should be trying to sell you a Games Pass type service, a PlayStation Now type service, where it's like, hey, give us $15 a month and you can play this list of 100 games that changes, 50 games that changes. It doesn't matter. Like, just make it a decent enough library, and then it can change every few months. You can rotate some stuff out as you lose licenses, but they're still not talking about that. And I think that is their biggest problem. Like, they should not be trying to sell me this digital only, non-downloadable game, because that is why everybody hates you.
No, I agree. Moving on to outside of this, which I know is kind of backwards, but opening night live.
Yeah, all this stuff came before opening night.
It did. Did it?
Yeah, we went in order.
That's right. We did go in order. I was thinking about like because it was technically the first night. I was thinking like previous night. It's funny because as I was making notes and like I felt like I was going to put it in here and I guess I didn't. Erica was the game that actually came like completely. I was 100% on board, and I mean it looks good. It looks like it's quality filming. It's supposed to be good, great story. And obviously it's gonna live and die on the story. But yeah, I was totally game on this. I feel like I've seen her in something before, and I need to look her up on IMDb. But
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I immediately thought of Bandersnatch, which I really enjoyed, and they straight up said it like in the Q&A. Like Keeley straight up said, this is like Bandersnatch. because anyone who's watching it immediately in the live chat, everyone's like, "This is just Bandersnatch."
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
So
I don't have a problem with that. Like, you
give me more.
You don't want more of that? Like,
I got like her story vibes off of it too.
Yeah.
Where it's totally like an adventure game, just like if you like your life is strange and your telltales, except in this case, like it seems to be more straight up filmed in the art style. It's only like $9.99 on PlayStation. It's a PlayStation exclusive. What was cool about it is that for like the first time ever, I'm pretty sure, aside from Jackbox games, they allow you can download an Erica app on your phone and interact with the game that way. And I'm not sure if it's multiplayer or not, but that would make it interesting too. Like if you could play like one person plays one character and another. I don't know if they made it that way, but that would have been cool. But for $10, the only reason I haven't already bought it and downloaded it is because I'm still working on Fire Emblem and I bought Final Fantasy VIII and I keep buying RPGs. But that was the highlight for me of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Magic the Gathering in here as well.
That was just for you.
Thank you. I mean, I've been playing it, like the fact that it's in the Epic Store. I'm like, okay, I don't really care. You can still download it from, straight from the developer.
Yeah.
So I didn't really see like a benefit, but I guess if someone likes to have it in their catalog visibly, sure.
It's more of a thing to get people's eyeballs on it. It's not really a thing for like the consumer per se. It's a thing that Wizards doing. Like, hey, if you don't like that, probably Epic paid money for, but like it's just a thing to use the storefront to put it on there. To where like if I went to Epic and I was like, I want to look up card games. Sure. Oh, Magic the Gathering, cool. Yeah. It's got to be that kind of situation because the fact that it's still available from Wizards says that it's not like. And it isn't Magic the Gathering Arena, isn't it free?
It's free.
Technically.
Yeah.
Okay, so literally it's just to make people like know that the game exists.
Yeah, it's free. It is, it's as much as someone who does not like loot boxes, it is just like the real thing. So you can buy packs of cards.
Yeah.
But unlike the I guess not really unlike the real thing, you won't have extras more than 4 of a copy of a card. Like if you end up getting which works in your favor, so that way you don't have like 16 of some common card that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that at least. The other bit was obviously Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I'm still excited about it. I still think it's going to be good. They got a little bit more into the story aspect, and it's still cryptic as as all get out. I mean,
this game makes no sense to me.
I mean, even when I play it, it's probably not going to make sense because it's Kojima. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a really good experience. They introduced, in quotation marks, Mama in the cast, who is played by an actress, I forgot her name, but she's Andie MacDowell's daughter, who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I already knew she was in the game. And I think I texted you like that because they made like a big deal about it. And I'm like, we already knew that. Like, and people in the comments were like, yeah, that's.
But they didn't know her character, I don't think.
They knew her character's name was Mama. We just didn't have that clip of her talking and explaining stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
and apparently, like, so her whatever they're calling like the baby thing that she's attached to is on the, I don't know, I'm calling it the Upside Down. I think it has another name, but like that cross world. First of all, you should find somebody that looks at you the same way that Jeff Keighley looks at Kojima, because he loves that
so
man.
Adorable, yeah.
Like it's the way that he talks about like just it's cool. Like it's not like it's awesome that he loves the guy that much. Mm-hmm. I don't see it every time. Like I know that Metal Gear is an amazing franchise, and he's done a lot of things. Just with this game, this game is bonkers. Yeah. I'm sure the gameplay is going to be there because all except for like, I think one of the Metal Gears maybe has some subpar gameplay, but even Metal Gear Solid 5, where the story was not the best, like the gameplay was still fantastic. I'm hard out though. I went hard out after seeing this gameplay. Like I already knew that there's a chance, but there's a part where he falls down on his face and the baby cries.
Yeah,
and that instantly made me out. So, 2-month-old, I was like, if there's any chance whatsoever, like that the dying mechanic in this game involves like that thing being snuffed out, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't be able to make it through the first death. So that's a no. I will probably watch some streams of it. I will see, but I would not be able to play it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about this game. I don't think anybody knows what to think about this game. It's just kind of like the review copies need to be out. Like people need to actually start talking about what the game actually is, because like even Kojima like tweeted out right afterwards like, "What'd you guys think of the gameplay video?" And like everybody's just like, "I have no idea what's going on."
Yeah, you're right though, because if it got into people's reviewers' hands right now, to be able to dig in, to sink their teeth in, it would help set the bar as to what, like, not even how high, just what kind of bar are you even referring to. Like, it is art, and that's what I appreciate about it. It's going to be out there. He's going to push the boundaries one way or another in regards to storytelling, in regards to gaming. And I'm in it for that, because he's what I would consider visionary in regards to this field, and he's still doing it like this far into video games, and still able to adapt and make something unique and still lives up to the times, as opposed to like continuing to make 2D side scrollers. No offense to 2D side scrollers, but like if Miyamoto was still cranking out games, it'd probably be some 2D side scrollers.
I mean, Miyamoto is still cranking out games.
Okay, and what's he making?
He's still on Breath, but like he's not.
I'm giving you this look because you know that like that's not the same thing. Like that's a Kevin Feige versus the Russos and everything. Like
we know the Russos are really doing the work.
Yeah, the Russos are doing the work, and that's what I mean. Like the director of Breath of the Wild and the people who are doing all the new Mario Maker games, like they're doing all the work, and Miyamoto's going, "I really like this," or "I don't like this." I've even heard in like some behind the scenes stuff in Nintendo, like not straight up disrespecting, but like he'll be like, "Oh, we want to do this," and they'll be like, "Yeah, we'll try that," and then one way or another they'll diminish what, like they'll put it lower and lower on his, because he's like Stan Lee. He's like walking around being like, we need a character that does this, and everyone's like, yeah, go away, old man.
Yeah. No, there's a respect factor there. It's just I still don't think that, like, I know that everybody's just curious. Like part of the thing is the curiosity. Yeah. After the big Konami thing, like, what's he gonna do? What's gonna happen? This is Kojima Unleashed. He doesn't have to make a Metal Gear game. Like, what's he gonna do? Mm-hmm. I get it. It's just every time I watch this game, I don't get it. Like, I just don't. Especially seeing that large backpack thing on his back. I'm like, how is he even standing up?
Because he's Norman Reedus.
No, what am I even thinking? Of course.
Yeah. No.
It's probably a motorcycle in there.
It's. Do you know the story about that, by the way?
No.
Like, so his character originally was going to ride horses, or a horse, whatever it was, and they cast him, and he's great, but he's afraid of horses.
I could see that. He's a pretty chill. Like, he's pretty like. He's not a weird dude, but he's an interesting dude whenever you like listen to him talk. Yeah. He's eccentric. That's the word I'm looking for.
And he's not anything like his character.
No. Not in the least.
So the compromise was they ended up making him ride a motorcycle, which is still cool. Yeah.
Which honestly makes more sense.
Yeah, it makes more sense. I agree. Anyways, let us know what you think in the comments about Death Stranding. Do you think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to flop. Do you think it's going to be as confusing as Metal Gear Solid as those games? Or do you think that that we're being obtuse about it, and once the game is there, it's going to be easy to read? I don't think it will be.
No, it's not. If you have a couple hours, check out the opening night live. It was fun. Honestly, there's a lot. They did a lot in 2 hours. I just didn't think most of the games they brought were that interesting. But in terms of like the writing and in terms of the flow, like compare that to the Xbox thing, which don't go watch it. But if you wanted to compare, it's night and day in terms of the enjoyment level. Nice meaty episode, guys.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyways, we'll talk to you later. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Keep on.